I tweeted today, @RealDonaldTrump, I tweet. And that's, you know, it solves it. Don't worry, I'll give it up after I'm president. We won't tweet anymore, I don't think. Not presidential.
He'll give it up. Welcome back to the 11th hour. That, what you just saw, was candidate Donald Trump at a campaign rally. It was in Rhode Island almost a year ago. As we know, Trump obviously did not give up Twitter upon entering the Oval Office. Today, he explained why.
Well, let me tell you about Twitter. I think that maybe I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Twitter, because I get such a fake press, such a dishonest press. The news is not honest, much of the news. It's not honest. And when I have close to 100 million people watching me on Twitter, including Facebook, including all of the Instagram, including POTUS, including lots of things, but we have, you know, I guess pretty close to 100 million people. I have my own form of media, but just on Twitter, if I don't do that, I won't get my word out. Because when I say things, the press doesn't cover it accurately. They cover it very inaccurately, much of the press. When I can reach, whether it's 90 million or 100 million or 80 million, however many people it may turn out to be when you add everything up, and then of course it gets disseminated from there, when I can reach that many people, Twitter is a wonderful thing for me because I get the word out.
Our panel's back with us. Michael Steele, you look at that, you can see that he's genuinely animated. I mean, this is something that gets him going. For viewers who don't know, you're big on the internet. You're a wired social media guy. We have fun.
We have fun.
What do you think of this side of the president? Because this is not something he has to be trained to do. We've covered a lot of politicians who have to be drawn out, and it feels very inauthentic when they do. This part comes to him naturally.
It does, and I think that the challenge for him is understanding that his role has changed remarkably. He's president now, and so what he says, how he says it, the nuance of what he says carries with it an enormous amount of weight and importance, and in some cases, as we saw this past week with the president, potential problems. So we get it. We understand it. It is who you are. And, you know, you do you, boo, but you got to do it carefully, because it is a very delicate balance between reaching people and tapping into your audience and the disruption that oftentimes comes from that, because the ripple effect from it goes a lot farther than you think it does, unless that's deliberate.
Well, and David Frum, he may not see it as a ripple. You get the feeling at times that the fight, the drama, the performance is what interests him, almost as if he's playing president.
Look, he's trying to argue that his use of Twitter is strategic. It's not. It's addictive behavior. In the past week, he had almost 10 days where he went without Twitter. That was a good 10 days for him. He's back at it now. His Twitter use is like a polygraph. It shows signs of stress. The unraveling of his claims about wiretapping in Trump Tower and the consequences of that unraveling, where it brings investigators to, the door it begins to open. Obviously, he's feeling the pressure from that. And so he's back at this addiction. He doesn't drink. We're told he doesn't seem to take pills. He does use this. It's his undoing.
Bob Costa, is that fair or is that overstated?
Which part of that?
That it is a hallmark of addictive behavior, and that this is more of a psychological burning need than any sort of professional media or governing strategy?
Well, I'm not a psychologist. I will say, based on my reporting and observations of him over the past few years, he does love it. He uses his phone to tweet. The president does not use a computer or email, and he seems to revel sometimes. I've seen him do this, reading the replies from people on his Twitter and kind of getting his finger in the air to the political winds as he reviews his device.
What is that like, Bob? You're saying you've been in the room with him while he will be reading replies for the first time?
Mm-hmm. I have seen it on the plane at Trump Tower. He digests information. He'll usually have the phone on as he looks over television, as he's watching cable news, as he has a pile of news articles printed out for him. And it's just this cascade of information as he thumbs through his phone and rifles through paper.
Bob, when you or I want to digest information, we turn off the TV, we go away from the computer, and we read things carefully and slowly. What that behavior is not the absorption of information, it is the self-bombarding with stimuli, dopamine hits. it's not informing yourself. It is distracting yourself.
Well, David, though, young people watching would say you're describing basically any millennial.
I live with 3 of them. Actually, what I find is they are actually less addicted to these devices than those of us who are somewhat older. They understand, at some level, they understand the danger. They're like they're like, you know, one of those post-crack generations that saw what happened to their older brothers and sisters, and they stay away from it. And they understand if you're going to work, you have to turn off the box.
Well, as we say in the business, that is where we're going to leave it. You can retweet that or not at your own discretion. Robert Costa, Michael Steele, and David Frum, thank you as always for an enlightening conversation.